Welcome to 1700. I'm your host, Aisling.
And I'm your host, Liz. Before we begin, SYN and RMIT acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional owners of the land at which SYN and RMIT stand, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation.
SYN and RMIT would also like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional owners of the land our content reaches.
Now, due to the COVID restrictions that have been going on in 2020, a lot of our content has been filmed at home for most of this year, but fortunately due to COVID restrictions easing up in Melbourne, we'll finally be able to be back filming in person.
And we have a really exciting show lined up for you today. So we're going to be looking back on the year of 2020, talking about our favourite releases, favourite clips, and favourite albums. And then we're going to be looking to 2021 and all the exciting things that are coming up in the music world.
We've got a lot to get through, so let's get to it.
Welcome back to 1700. So we've just been talking about how hectic this year has been. It's been crazy having to film everything at home and a lot to get used to. But artists have also had to adapt to this funny year. So we've obviously been speaking about how artists have adapted, where they find their inspiration, and how they've found new ways of making music and bringing it to their audience.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to see just how, not only like with us, like we've had to adapt with our content, but just also how other musicians and artists have been able to adapt their content for like this isolation period. And some artists have taken to it in stride, and other artists have really struggled. Like, for instance, I do a lot of editing behind the scenes for a lot of shows like 1700 as well. And I ended up doing editing for an interview for another show with Jess Locke, where she talked about how, while she is releasing an album this year, I believe she has already released it, but she had a lot of trouble with it as well because she just this year, while she made her album the previous year to release this year, she actually was really dead in the water actually having inspiration to make anything this year. Like, she just couldn't think of anything to do because the isolation just sapped all her inspiration, which is an understandable thing for a lot of people. Like, even I know myself, I found that really relatable because it's been hard to come up with content ideas that don't relate around isolation. And after a certain period of time, people can get kind of sick of thinking about isolation. It can be a bit disheartening.
Yeah, definitely. I know I'm sick of talking about the pandemic and isolation, and it can be a bit sad. But I think it's interesting. You've just mentioned Jess Locke has a lack of inspiration in this period, but then there's artists like Taylor Swift, who's released 2 whole albums this year, which is just insane.
It's scary.
Yeah.
I find it scary, but like full props to her for managing to do that. Like, that takes, like, it. I don't know if that was easy for her or really hard, but like, she took to it in stride.
Yeah, she did indeed. I mean, her new album, Evermore, now it has 15 songs, and on the deluxe, it's got 2 extra bonus songs, and then Folklore as well. Like, she clearly had a lot of inspiration from the isolation period and just got really creative. So it's really interesting to see.
I mean, given some songs, you can see like the inspiration from isolation. So
exactly. And in terms of that as well, there's obviously been artists that have, live streamed. There's been Isolate and just at-home festivals and concerts. Have you watched any?
Not really, I'll be honest. Like, I don't really get a huge Australian music fix lately. Like, I mainly get it from editing for other Australian music shows. So it's always good to learn about new Australian artists, but I myself, I never really have time to watch the different streams, the different artists, which is a bit sad because I know other artists have really taken to it in stride and been able to share their content like that. But I know other people have really enjoyed it, so it's always good to hear that they've got that other way to reach out to their audience and perform for them. Like, I know you said that you've listened to quite a few as well, so.
Yeah, so I've tuned in this period. I mean, I had nothing else to do, so I tuned into a really great live stream. It was from the Untitled group, and they just grabbed a huge bunch of Melbourne DJs, and they set up a live stream concert in a warehouse. And it was just, the production quality was insane. They had amazing lighting, amazing camera, and of course, just amazing tracks. They played some really good sets. My favourite was actually Willaris K.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
So it was a really, really good set. So if you can ever catch him live, I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Well, this has been 1700. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to 1700. So we've been talking as well, obviously with 2020, a lot of other music has been able to come out, and we just wanted to look back at just some of our favourite music that's come out this year, both albums, singles and music videos on their own, because people have become just so creative in this time. It's absolutely amazing. So we decided both of us just to make a list of our favourite song, our favourite album and our favourite music video. So what was your favourite single?
It was a tough one to choose because there's been so much released this year by a lot of my favourite artists as well. But I think I'm going to have to go with my favourite band in the world, Northeast Party House. They released a new album called Shelf Life, and the single The Desert is my favourite. It's just huge energy, great vibes, always puts me in a great mood. And yeah, I really loved it. And for them, it's such like a new and different direction for them as a band. And yeah, I was just all about it. But I know yours is completely other end of this, other end of the spectrum. So what was your favourite single?
Yeah, my favourite single, it wasn't part of an album, it's the single on its own at the moment, as far as I'm aware. It was called Funny by Tamara and the Dreams. It's currently, when I first heard the song, I listened to it on loop for like a good solid 2 months. It was just such a good song. Like I said, I'd done a lot of editing for the show, and 1700 actually did an interview with her for the single, and I edited that interview, and I was really curious because listening to all the story behind it, how just the context behind about like struggling to try and be like being funny to hide away your insecurities. I relate to that a lot. I use humor a lot to hide the pain. So I decided, you know what, I'll give it a listen. And I just love the beat behind it. I love the work that's gone into it. Just the music, the guitar. It's just all so well done in my opinion. And I just love listening to it. So yeah. So what about your favorite album?
Another one that was very hard to pick, I think, because I was going to go with Shelf Life from Northeast Party House, but I was like, no, like switch it up. So Spacey Jane's album, Sunlight, I love it. It's incredible. I love Spacey Jane. I actually only discovered them at the start of the year when I saw them play at Laneway Festival, which was just amazing. I was so in awe of them as a band, and just their sound is something I'm really interested in. And yeah, I just think their album is really well produced, and it's really raw and vulnerable and shows a lot of emotion too, which I really appreciate.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so what about your album?
Yeah, mine's pretty different from my favourite single. It's called Last Year Was Weird Volume 2 by TK Maidza. I think that I just really enjoyed the songs. They're very upbeat, very different. My favourite from that is Shook. I actually heard it from doing a react to other people's songs or albums from 1700 that exists somewhere, and I wish it didn't. But I really enjoy the songs. I think they're really upbeat. I really love her energy in them, and just the way that I love how she sings. I love her voice. It's just such a upbeat tracks, like something upbeat traps in it. So what about your favorite music video?
I think music videos, so I was actually talking to you yesterday about this, how I haven't watched too many music videos this year, but one that did stand out to me was Lastling's No Time. Another one that I discovered through 1700 and editing, and I watched it actually a few times because I just thought it was really creative and very unique, something I hadn't really seen before. And I think Lastlings have done a really great job this year of stepping outside of the box and creating things that aren't really out there, which I really appreciate, and I think you should definitely check out that clip.
I still need to. I said I would when I talked to you about it, but I still haven't. Yeah, my favourite music video clip was actually from an artist I already mentioned earlier, Jess Locke, called Fool. It's so bright and colourful. There's like all the pastels in it are just so pretty and appealing. Like, I don't wear enough pastels in my opinion, so I really just love the vibe of the song and just the way the music video has been done. I just think that we need more pastels in the world, okay?
I agree. There is nothing wrong with some pastel colours. But yeah, I hope you guys check out our favourite releases from this year because they are all worth checking out, and we will be right back after the break.
welcome back to 1700. So another thing that we were talking about a lot as well is just how now that the social distancing is finally wrapped up, like we can finally go out to gigs again. Like we can really enjoy listening to other artists. They don't have to be stuck inside, like performing like just over Instagram. They can actually be singing to their fans. They can really get out there. You can get out with a crowd, and it's just a really nice experience again. Like I know I'm really excited to go to a few more gigs now these days, but even then, before that, like in other countries and music festivals in general, people have really begun to adapt to social distancing and how they can really adapt to listening to music with other people safely.
Yeah, so I know in the UK they actually had the first socially distanced festival back in August. So everyone was in these little pods with their friends and they were split up 2 meters apart. And I think that's a really cool idea. I mean, I know we're in Melbourne, so we're back to normal. We can get back to our gigs, like standing, dance floors are back. But yeah, I think even though they are back, I wouldn't mind going to a socially distanced festival. I just like the idea of, not touching shoulders with every single stranger there. But what are your thoughts? Do you like that idea, or would you rather just a normal gig?
Me, I am perfectly happy with that idea. Like, I don't go to too many festivals to begin with. Oftentimes, I'm just usually working. But even then, like, when I do go to a festival or when I have friends come back from a festival, like 99% of the time they've come back and they've got a cold or something. Like, they've been cooped up in together with so many people, and like, they just come back with something. So it can't be helped. Like, you're crammed together with so many people listening to music and just like getting hot and sweaty, as you said. Like stuff are going to get passed around. So the social distancing way, it just seems like a really nice way to enjoy music with other people, but also do it without touching other people.
Do it in a safe way, I guess. I think that's a really great idea, which, I mean, I love a good dance floor. I love getting in amongst the crowd, but also it's a safe way to do it. And I think if it works for other countries, then why not? And we were also, someone actually told us right before filming
yes.
that there was a show by a band in the US and they were in bubbles. So like all the crowd members are in these separate socially distanced bubbles.
Yeah, like the plastic bubbles that like you see like just as a joke people wear around.
Yeah.
Like they've been wearing those, like even the band was wearing them. Like the photos looked crazy, but they looked like a lot of fun. Like I wish I was there.
Yeah, it'd be fun to try something like that. But looking towards next year and the future of Australian music, what are you excited for? What are you excited for 2021 to bring, whether it's concerts, gigs, festivals, or even just new releases? What are you most excited for?
Honestly, like I'm excited for all of it at this point. Like I really, I think a lot of people have really begun to, like obviously we talk about how some artists have struggled, but some artists really flourished in isolation. They've been able to create a lot of music. So I'm excited to see the fruits of their labors, as you would put it. And like going out to gigs again, like I'm tired of being inside. I want to go out and just enjoy listening to music outside with people and not just on Spotify, as great as Spotify is.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's been a lot now released for 2021, especially in both Australia and New Zealand. There's been a few lineups for festivals released, which I am super excited about. So one that we were actually chatting about earlier is the Yours and Ours Festival.
Yes, we were.
January 23rd to 24th, and the lineup is amazing. So the lineup, we've got some big names like the DMAs, Hayden James, Lime Cordiale. They're all there. It looks like such a fun time. So I can't wait to get my hands on those tickets and just, finally enjoy live music again.
As am I. It's just so good to finally get out and really enjoy being outside and being with people again and just enjoying music. It's it's such a good experience again.
Yeah, definitely. And so check out all the lineups that are being released. There's plenty going on. There's plenty of gigs, small gigs, there's concerts, there's rescheduled concerts, and now there's heaps of festivals coming out. So make sure to get out there and support the Australian music scene because they've been doing it tough this year and they really need our support.
And they would all really appreciate it. This has been 1700. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome back to 1700. We are about to announce our clip of the week for this week.
We're very excited to show it off to you. We'll get right into it right now, so take it away.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for tuning in to 1700 today. We really appreciate all your support, and of course we are so excited to once again be filming in person and not over Zoom, which we are all so sick of. But yeah, thank you so much for all your support, and of course thank you to our camera crew, our producers, our editors, and everyone who has made this possible, and of course to Sin and RMIT.
And also a huge thank you to all the artists that we talked about on the show, and also to all the artists that have created music during this time. It's been a really rough patch for all of us, but we're finally out of the woods, so we can finally get back to just creating and enjoying Australian music again.
And yeah, once again, like we said, all your support is really appreciated. But if you want to keep up to date with everything 1700 and everything Aussie music news, make sure to check us out on Instagram at 1700_TV. And of course on Facebook and YouTube, just 1700 TV.
This has been Aisling and Liz, and we're signing off.